The case of a convicted murderer gets its day in the Georgia Supreme Court after the prosecutor's key witness lied on the stand during the trial. Rusty Snyderman was shot and killed on November 18th of 2010. On January 4th, 2011, Hemi Newman was arrested and charged with murder. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, claiming he had an affair with the murder victim's wife, Andrea. A year later, his trial began, and Andrea Snyderman took the stand, denying that there was any romantic relationship. That turns out to be a lie. On March 15th, 2012, Newman was found guilty of murder, sentenced to life in prison without parole. Let's talk about some of the permutations here. Joining us now, former prosecutor Doug Burns and Fox News legal analyst Lise Wheel. This case makes my head explode.
Right. What happened? Bing, 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 right.
Hemi Newman was her boss, was Andrea Snyderman's boss. Apparently, they established some kind of a romantic liaison. He gets convicted of shooting her husband to death outside a daycare center. Right. He was found guilty but mentally ill, right, yet sentenced to prison for life. First of all, let's talk about that.
Under Georgia law is a little bit different than most other states on this. If you're found guilty but insane, then usually you go to a mental hospital or something like that. You don't do prison time. But in Georgia, if you're found, and this was guilty but insane, you get the same sentence. You get the sentence. You don't go to a mental hospital.
And by the way, very interesting point. As trial lawyers, we often debate what jurors should or should not be told. In Georgia, jurors are not told that if they find somebody guilty but mentally ill, that they're going to get the same sentence. If they were told that, you'd see more verdicts like that. I looked at the statute, very confusing. To be found guilty but insane and then get the same exact sentence, that's interesting.
It's different.
Unusual.
Yeah, unusual for Georgia.
Yeah, because they're saying, you know, your mind wasn't working quite right, but still you're going to prison for life and you don't have a chance of getting out.
Exactly.
All right, so then he goes to trial. She testifies against him. Right. She was actually charged with murder, too.
But she was a hostile witness.
Right, she was a hostile witness, right.
She was charged with murder in a second trial, but on the eve of the trial,
they pulled it back.
The prosecutors dropped the charges.
They did, John.
She's already out of jail, even though she was convicted of 13 counts.
Of perjury. She went to jail for perjury. I think they thought that that was probably enough. But going back to his conviction, because now what the issue is whether or not his appeal or his conviction will be reversed. I don't believe so, because it's harmless error, and the standard for that is it doesn't. I know it sounds.
That's why my head's exploding.
Okay. I like that reaction, and I'm going to make an explanation.
In other words, what the judge is saying, the first judge is saying, yes, she lied, and that's horrible, and that's wrong, but there was enough evidence to convict him, you know, withstanding whatever she said, whatever her perjury charges. So it's called harmless error. All right, Doug, take it over.
Lisa's right. Look, when a witness lies at your trial, reversal is not automatic. So you look at a couple things. Number one, was their testimony central to the conviction, obviously? And number two, was there enough evidence without it to convict? But I take the other side of this. Whether or not she was having an affair with this guy is critically at the center of this case.
Women can make men do a lot of stupid things. I don't know if you agree with me on that, Doug.
I do.
But it happens to be my personal opinion.
I totally agree with that.
And for,
you know, we're out of the legal realm here, I have a feeling.
That's my expert legal opinion.
If they're having some hot and heavy affair and she goads him into killing her husband and then testifies against him when
he still did it.
Well,
but I like John's point.
You're talking about motive. I mean, okay, so that was the motivation.
But
he still did
not to put you on the spot. I like John's point. They charged her with murder. I wonder why they pulled that back.
Because they already had a perjury conviction.
Okay.
Yeah, but she's already out of jail. She would
have gotten sentenced to a lot more, obviously, had she been convicted of murder.
They didn't have enough on her. They obviously didn't have enough on her. Here they've got the guy with the gun at the daycare center.
And she lied.
And he said that he did it.
I mean, look, it is like the old joke, the guy's on trial for murder, and the prosecutor thinks he lies. And he goes, "Are you aware of the penalty of perjury?" He goes, "Yes, I am, and it's a lot less than it is for murder."
We are going to have to continue to watch this case. We'll let you know what the Supreme Court decides in Georgia. Doug and Lise, thank you both. My head's going to explode.